Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into one of the biggest, most nagging challenges in any business, risk. But we're going to look at it through a whole new lens, one that focuses less on the process and way more on the people. We're going to figure out why your best laid plans seem to go sideways and how the real key to success might be hiding in plain sight. I mean, really think about it. You've got the spreadsheets, the flow charts, all the mitigation strategies, everything is mapped out perfectly. And yet, what happens? Time and time again, threats you saw coming still turn into crises, and huge opportunities just slip through your fingers. It's a super common and, let's be honest, a deeply frustrating problem. And look, this isn't just a hunch, it's a well-documented fact. Even with all our sophisticated processes and principles, major failures keep happening. So that tells you something, right? Having a great plan on paper just isn't enough to make it work in the real world. So what is going on here? Well, it turns out the most critical piece of the entire puzzle, the one missing from pretty much every risk management recipe, you're not going to find it in a spreadsheet. That missing ingredient? It's us. It's the human element. At the end of the day, risk management is done by people, working alone and in teams. And that simple fact adds this massive layer of complexity, full of hidden influences that can totally derail even the most perfect plan. Right at the heart of this whole human factor thing is something called risk attitude. Now, this is more than just being risk-averse or a risk-taker. It's the chosen response to uncertainty. And the key word there is that it's all driven by perception. How we see a risk is what determines how we act. And here's where it gets really tricky. That perception, it's almost never objective. It's constantly being twisted and shaped by these subconscious mental shortcuts, these biases that make us act irrationally without us even knowing it. For instance, let's say a competitor just had a huge data breach that's all over the news. All of a sudden, your team will see cybersecurity as this massive, urgent threat, not because the actual risk has changed, but just because that event is fresh and really vivid in everyone's mind. Or how about the confirmation trap? We all do this. You get a gut feeling that a new project is a winner, so you unconsciously start seeking out all the data that proves you right, while conveniently ignoring the evidence that suggests, maybe you're wrong. And these little individual quirks get so much more powerful when you put them in a group setting. Take groupthink. This is where the desire to agree with everyone else becomes so strong that it completely overrides critical thinking. It leads a whole team to make a bad call that, honestly, no single person would have made on their own. And then you have the Moses factor, and I bet you've seen this happen. One senior leader or a so-called expert states their opinion really strongly, and poof, all the debate just dies. The entire group just falls in line, even if a lot of them have serious doubts. Okay, so these biases are running in the background constantly, shaping every single decision we make. If we want to really get a handle on risk, the very first step is to learn how to see these invisible forces in action. We have to make them visible. To manage these attitudes, you got to diagnose them first. Think of it like mapping your team's unique risk DNA. This means really understanding where people fall on that spectrum, from risk-averse to risk-seeking. It means spotting what situations trigger certain behaviors and, most importantly, shining a light on those hidden biases in individuals and the team as a whole. But, and this is a really important distinction, just identifying the problem doesn't magically solve it. Knowing your team has a tendency toward groupthink is one thing. Knowing what to actually do about it, that's a whole different ballgame. So what's the treatment? What's the fix? Well, the answer is in developing a skill called emotional literacy. This is the practical, hands-on tool we can use to proactively manage that human side of risk. Now, most of us have heard of emotional intelligence, right? That's about being able to recognize emotions. Emotional literacy takes it a massive step further. It's about knowing what to do with that understanding. How do you apply it to get better, more rational results? It is all about action, not just awareness. And building this skill in a group isn't just one thing, it's a whole system. It all starts with leaders modeling the right behaviors. It means creating a mindset of choice where people feel safe and empowered to speak their minds. It's about understanding how your team members interact, that's the transactional analysis part, and it's all held together by an open-loop system of really clear communication. Put them all together, and that's how you get a truly emotionally literate team. And this gives us a really clear path forward. First, you apply these emotional literacy skills to truly understand what's driving your team's risk attitudes. Then, with that insight, you can start to manage those attitudes proactively instead of just reacting. And the final, biggest step is to embed all this into your culture to drive real, lasting change in how your people actually behave. And when you do all this, something amazing happens. The whole goal shifts. You stop just trying to minimize threats. You actually start building a resilient culture where your team's relationship with risk becomes a massive strategic advantage. And the results here are incredibly powerful. You finally gain the ability to effectively manage that messy human side of risk. You can spot and overcome the negative attitudes that are holding you back and create strategies that build genuine, long-term resilience for your entire organization. And this right here is the real game changer. This isn't just about playing defense or damage control. The goal is to take those very human tendencies, those attitudes and behaviors that look like liabilities on the surface, and actually turn them into assets that drive you toward your goals. So that really just leaves one last question for you to think about. When you really look at your organization, is the way your people approach uncertainty an asset that's pushing you forward, or is it a hidden liability just waiting to trip you up?